Now, for many of us, we can recognize our defects and our disabilities and our disqualifications, and I'm afraid that some of you listening to me, you are very aware, you're painfully aware of your problems, you're painfully aware of your sin, you're painfully aware of your defects and your disqualifications, but you're not aware, you're completely unaware that God's grace will accept you even with all of your defects, even with all of your problems. You see, many people, they become very aware of their defaults. They become aware of their status as someone who will be rejected, and so they start fighting reality instead of fighting for change. They start fighting what is true, and they embrace denial, and they say, that's not true about me. And perhaps today, you're denying the fact that you need grace. You're denying the fact that you need God. Friend, I want you to realize today that your greatest weakness, if you let Christ in, your greatest weakness can be the theater where he does his most amazing work, where he displays his glorious strength. St. Augustine affirmed this when he said, I looked into my deepest wound and I saw your glory and it dazzled me. God's grace is Christ coming and meeting all of your defects and your disqualifications and your disability, meeting it with his grace and meeting the need of every one of those and making up for them. And so you can let go of denial and accept God's grace because he's going to make up for all of those needs that you have. And you can look into your life in the darkest parts of you, in the parts that are most needy. You can look into the parts of your soul that are the most desperate. And those are the places that God is going to do some incredible, amazing work. Verse 5 says that our sacrifices will be acceptable unto God by Jesus Christ. You can be acceptable, and your life and your work and your service can be acceptable because Christ is gracious. So this morning you need to make a twofold confession. You need to admit that you are a reject, and you need to admit that God will accept you. You need to admit that you have sin, and you need to admit that only God can handle your sin.